Thanks for taking the time to do this review for the midterm exam. The style characteristics are listed and can be a helpful guide as you start to split styles. So you want to have that beside you when you take the test. In this video, I want to give explanations for each image so that you understand them fully. So this first image shows a very bizarre scene. We've got dreamlike imagery, more like nightmare-like imagery. And that illogical juxtaposition of elements tells us we're looking at surrealism. If it looks like a dream or nightmare you might have had, then it's surrealism. In this particular piece, we see a great example of Dada. And we've got that absurdity, that humor, and that social criticism. This one's called The Meaning of the Hitler Salute. So we see Hitler there taking a payoff. In this particular piece, we see cubism. We've got that mono kind of chromatic palette. We've got the faceting going on, and just the way the shapes are very geometric give us the clues we need to know that we're looking at cubism. In this particular piece, we see a beautiful example of Art Nouveau. We've got the stylized natural forms of flowers, and we have the lettering in French and a very exotic female who is removed from contemporary time and place. Here's a very tall, thin composition. It's an elongated figure and the type as well. And it's hand-drawn, very stylized type. It sort of resembles a stained glass window. That tells us it's the Vienna Secession. We've got a classic chromolithography, naturalistic rendering. It's Victorian. Here the type is very hand-done looking, but it's curvilinear. And it's a classic example of Art Nouveau typography. Here we've got ukiyo-e calligraphy. And here we've got the arts and crafts typography. We've also got the stylized natural forms in the leaves that give it away, and that historicism, that use of past styles. Here's a bunch of fonts that are Art Nouveau. They have that bimorphic quality. They're very curvilinear, particularly the second one. This is a great example of Victorian era illustration by Charles Dana Gibson. We see the figures dressed in Victorian clothing. It's an open book. It's a private press movement. We've got the stylized natural forms of the leaves and the flowers. Again, the historicism and that reference to medieval times. This is arts and crafts. This is very tall and thin. So is the typography. It's elongated. It's kind of like a stained glass window in a way. So we're looking at the Vienna Secession. Vienna Secession typography. Remember, the type from the Secession can look like psychedelic poster art from like Haight-Ashbury. And so it's very hand-drawn and stylized. This is Vienna Secession. The Victorian era with ephemera. And remember, sweetness, nostalgia, those Valentine cards, Christmas cards, chromolithography, that full use of color is the Victorian era. Here it's in French. We know we're looking at Art Nouveau. It's a Toulouse-Lautrec piece. The very compressed space, it's aurora vacui. It's filling up the entire field. We've got the medieval figures. We've got the stylized plants and leaves. It's arts and crafts. The typography looks super hand-drawn and stylized, a bit like the psychedelic era. We're in the Vienna Secession. Ukiyo-e, it's a Japanese theme. Here we're looking at Dada. Now, Dada can sometimes be challenging to split from Futurism when it's type-based, but in this case, we see that it's in French. So if it's going to be futurism, it's going to be in Italian. And here it's in French. Also, those little ornaments, when you see those little clip art ornaments, that's a strong characteristic of Dada. We've got the packaging that also shows incredibly decorative type and lots of ornament. It's got to be Victorian. Japanese themes, ukiyo-e, and back to that decorative type and ornament. We're looking at Victorian era here. It's in English. These posters are tall and thin, but notice that they're not simplified like a stained glass window. They are in more color. They feature exotic females removed from contemporary time and place. They are in French. It's Art Nouveau. The chromolithography printing can be on tin. So this packaging is Victorian era with its decorative type and lots of ornament. Again, the Victorian era. The stylized plants, leaves tell us it's arts and crafts. We've got a classic children's book illustration. Those children's book illustrations, nostalgia, sweetness, Kate Greenaway with a Victorian era illustration. All right, this one is so intense, is it not? It's expressing so many emotions with its exaggerated, distorted drawing and proportions. It's got a bold contour kind of drawing. It's expressionism. The Valentine card, the chromolithography tells us it's Victorian era. All right, there are men raining down from the sky like a dream you might have had. It's surrealism. Here we see a very expressionistic piece where we have thick paint, exaggerated, distorted color. This is expressionism. We've got a Japanese theme. We're in ukiyo-e. And again, that boldness, that exaggerated, distorted color trying to express human emotions, we're in expressionism. Victorian era ephemera, typography. It's an advertisement from the Victorian time. We see that it's from the United States, Chicago. It's always going to be in English, the Victorian era. Another Victorian era piece where we play off nostalgia, sweetness, innocence, all the things they loved. Very moody, very expressionistic. Paul Klee here with his deep, emotional response to the way that it's drawn. It's an open book. It's got medieval lettering. The plants and leaves are stylized. It's arts and crafts. Tall, thin compositions. We're in the Vienna Secession. Very mysterious what's going on here in this Magritte piece. Obviously, it's surreal. Arts and crafts. We've got the stylized natural forms. All right, here we have a typographic piece. So it's either going to be futurism or it's going to be Dada, right? But notice it even says futurista and it's in Italian. Italian looks a bit more like Spanish, which many people are familiar with here in San Diego. So when it's in Italian, it's going to be futurism. Here we see a great example of surrealism where they're using personal symbolism. This is the work of Juan Miró. And don't let it fool you that it's expressionism. It's not. So just kind of study the work of Miró and know that he is surrealism. It's personal symbolism. This electric corset ad, it's in English. It's got a lot of decorative type. It's going to be Victorian. Here we see some objects that are kind of nonsensical. We have a urinal that is called the fountain. It's ready-made materials, so it's going to be Dada. We've got arts and crafts with the stylized natural forms, the leaves and the flowers. Ukiyo-e We've got a Japanese theme going on here. Look at that typography. It's so decorative. All that ornament, it's Victorian. And next we go to a piece where we see Hitler. So that's going to be a clue to us that we are looking at Dada because it's social criticism about the regime. Okay, and now we see the stylized natural forms, the leaves and flowers, it's arts and crafts, and this hand-drawn stylized type kind of in a lockup that's nice and tight. It would fit in a tall, thin composition. It's Vienna Secession. We've got an illustration that's classically Victorian, Charles Dana Gibson. The dress gives it away. Wow, this is bizarre, like a dream or nightmare you might have. It is dream imagery, illogical juxtapositions of elements. The familiar is in an unfamiliar setting. This is surrealism. We've got Art Nouveau with the exotic female removed from contemporary time and place, and an arts and crafts example of furnishings where we have the stylized plants, leaves going on. Wow, it's so strange. It's got to be surrealism. Here we see that very decorative type with lots of ornament. It's in English, and it's going to be Victorian era. We've got a great example of cubism. We see the faceting of surfaces that make the shapes look the way they do. We've got simultaneity where the subject is being viewed at several angles at once, but the subject's remaining stationary, these objects, and the artist, Picasso, is moving around them. We've got stylized plants and leaves. When it's in black and white or just black and white and red, more than likely you're going to be in arts and crafts. It's got that historicism, that use of past styles going on. And here we see another type piece. Remember, it's either going to be Dada or it's going to be Futurism. In this case, we see totally free typography, like a monkey dropped it from a 10-story building and it just landed where it will with onomatopoeia. That's the real clue here. Do you see how it says scraw, brang? Onomatopoeia is like trying to use words in a way that suggests sounds that are emotional. So we see even the word esplosione, which is in Italian, it's got to be Futurism poetry. Okay, obviously the monochromatic palette and the faceting of the surface is telling us we're looking at cubism. Here it says futurista in it, but it is futurism. We can tell that the machine aesthetic is here with these industrial bolts. They love automatons or elements that suggest industry. They worship the machine, speed. And next we have a piece that looks like a stormtrooper with this clothing on. The newspaper is blinding the person. It's using photo montage. This is before Photoshop. And there's a certain absurdity and social criticism in it. And basically, it's going to be Dada. It's also in German. Here we see a robot, right? Robots, automatons are futurism. And it says futurista if we need more clues. Here we see photo montage before Photoshop. And obviously it's got a symbol of the Third Reich here. It's in German. It's going to be Dada. Now we see an example of futurism. Again, a robot-like form going on. They love that whole machine aesthetic. They love speed. They love geometric patterns. And we're in futurism. And here we see an example where we see that clip art. It's in French. So this is going to definitely be Dada. And that's our review for the midterm exam. Thanks for taking the time to watch this and to practice your own skills. There is a printout you can use that will show you the correct answers and you can practice on your own. Thanks for listening and good luck on the midterm.